Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. I'm Reed Price. I'm happy to have you here. Barbara Ochota is with us, and she's a member of the BISC Board of Directors. She also is very active in a number of committees, and she is a very active volunteer for Zero Waste Bainbridge. And the connection between the Senior Center and Zero Waste is stronger because of Barbara's involvement. We're going to talk a little bit about a program that we started, thanks to her, on recycling some stuff that might not be easy to recycle through your curbside collection. But first, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island, which sponsors Something to Talk About. They offer independent and assisted living and memory care up on Rolling Bay. And if you'd like to tour their facilities, drop by for a free lunch and ask about their day stay and respite care programs, you can do that. Just call 206-594-1010. You can ask for Celia or Jamie. Also, I like to acknowledge that we live on the ancestral homeland of the Puget Sound Coast Salish people, and we are grateful for their extension of stewardship, not only since time immemorial of these lands and waters, but helping us to be better stewards of the Salish Sea and associated land. So we acknowledge that and are thankful for it. Barbara, thank you very much for agreeing to join us today and talk a little bit about the scrap metal recycling we have out in the lobby.
All right, should I just get started?
Let's go.
Okay. So first of all, thanks to the center for allowing me to move this collection over to our facility there. So historically, I started it in April of 2023. I just had a bucket at the Zero Waste Farmers Market table. So once a month, people, as they learned about it, would come by and bring me their scrap metal. And it had growing interest. And then, after September, we didn't have any booths. So I approached Reed to see if we could house the scrap metal collection at the Senior Community Center, and he very graciously agreed. So let me just give you some stats. I started it because metal is a relatively known substance. The extraction process has already happened. The earth has already undergone that trauma. And it's very, very reusable. It's a valuable commodity. So I kind of had a feeling there might be sitting around in people's garages and that kind of thing. And it's expensive. If you make a special trip to the transfer station, I think it's like $14 or something. So anyway, from mid-December, in mid-December, Diane Landry and I went down in the snow and took this stuff. Let me back up a little bit. So I store it in my garage. I go a couple times a week and clear out the bin and put it in my garage. And then when it's getting pretty full, I load it into my Prius and I drive it down to Navy City Metals and in Gorst. So Diane and I made the first run with stuff that had accumulated from April through mid-December. It snowed the day we went there. And we had 100 pounds. And then I went from the mid-December to mid-April. Is that it? Or mid-March, actually. That was 180 pounds. And then mid-March to mid-June was 240 pounds. And I went today. And so in 6 weeks, it was 166 pounds. So we've gone from like 15 pounds a week to 20 to 27 today. Which is great. So people bring such interesting things. I thought I'd show you one. Here's a broken coffee maker. They'll be happy to get that at scrap metal. Here's a one-armed corkscrew. Not useful, but definitely recyclable. Here's the cutting edge from your aluminum foil box or your parchment box, recyclable. People have brought me plumbing, blades, hardware, these hangers from file folders from the days when we used paper all the time. So all kinds of stuff. Some of my favorites are the metal skeleton from a collapsible umbrella. I don't know if you've seen that on the display attached to the front of the bin. And somebody also brought me the hands of a clock. So that tells me people are really looking at, what do I have that's metal, and can I bring it in? So those are the yeses. There's quite a bit of yes. But I'm also getting some no's, and I'm still getting them regularly. And I understand why. I understand people want to recycle everything, but not everything is recyclable. These look shiny. These are plastic coated. So no yogurt lids, please. No tea bags that look metallic. They are plasticized. They are not metal. I think somebody's been bringing contact lens pouches or pill pouches. No, those are plastic. And I have a bad example here, but this is a Mr. Moxie's Artisan Mints. And there's usually, they come with a plastic insert in here. I'm happy to take the tin, but please take the plastic insert out, because it's a lot of pawing through all this stuff to make sure that I'm giving them as good a product as I can get. And I was working in the bin the other day, and a woman came up and said, she was surprised that some of these things couldn't be put in our curbside recycling. And I explained to her that at the materials recovery facility, there are conveyor belts and electric eyes and blowers and stuff. It can't recognize and sort small material, like the lids from your cat food cans, like keys. All that stuff is just gonna fall by the wayside. So that's why
But if I have a top, let's say from a jelly jar or something,
yeah,
those those are okay, even though they have a little bit of plastic on the inside.
absolutely. Jelly jar lids, beer bottle caps, the wine cages, the little metal things from wine cages, keys, IKEA wrenches, clean out your junk drawers. I know you got stuff hiding in the garage that's metal. Somebody brought me like maybe 6
I
sets
know
of
you
door
do. I know
locks.
you got stuff hiding there at home. I like that part.
Bring it to me. Um, so one of the things is materials, but also its size. So small stuff is great for our collection bin, can't go in curbside. And Reed, if you could you call up the poster and put it on the screen? This is going to be the recycling flyer. So if you can see this, so the conversation I had, I'm looking at the metal cans in the bottom middle, and it says no loose lids. So for this metal, it is only aluminum cans or metal soup cans. And for all of these things, these are not like just suggestions and then you make up your mind about the other materials. These are it. This is the entire universe. All this plastic stuff up here, those shapes. So ignore the triangle symbols. If something says it's recyclable, don't pay any attention to that. If it doesn't fit on this chart from the Kitsap County, it should not go in curbside. Any questions about anything on this while we've got this flyer up?
Well, the clamshells are always a big topic, and then I'll let Jake talk.
Oh, well, clamshells are not recyclable curbside. If you have a Ridwell collection, Ridwell collects them, but I am very ambivalent about that particular category because there are no facilities in the United States that can recycle clamshells. So they're either sent to BC, Merlin, and is a facility in British Columbia, or they're sent to a place in Mexico, which has limited water, and their water use is compromised while the recycling process is going on. So there's a phrase for that, and it's called waste colonialism. And so I think it's just better to avoid clamshells if you can.
Thank you. And Jake.
So about the I'm still not clear about the definition of a clamshell. I think of the clamshell as just those containers that are hinged that open and close.
The plastic The clear plastic clamshells, yeah.
But what about other clear plastic containers that aren't clamshells?
If they're not in the shape on this chart, on this flyer, put them in garbage.
That's criminal, Barbara.
Well, it should be.
I know.
But the point is, I mean, it's better if you put something that might be recycled if you just put it in landfill than
Right.
if you put something that can't be recycled into recycling, because it would be nice if it could be recycled. You know what I mean?
Okay, and then about the tin cans, I had also heard though that if you have a plastic bottle and you leave the cap on it, that's okay. And
No.
if you have, okay, and a tin can, like a soup can or a vegetable can or a salsa can or whatever, if the lid is still attached, if you loosen it, pour out the contents, but have the lid securely attached, you're good.
You're good. That's a good question for both of those materials. So yeah, if the metal cans, if the lid is still attached, you can just tuck it down and kind of crimp the can. That's perfect. But if you look at the top row, it says, plastic bottles, jugs, jars, and dairy tubs, no lids.
Okay.
So you can recycle a plastic water bottle or a plastic, peanut butter jar, but not the lids.
Okay.
Again, part of it is size and part of it is shape. So flat stuff like a yogurt tub lid, the machinery reads that as paper, and it's flat, it goes into paper.
Okay, and the tub is fine.
The tub is fine.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, good
Another thing you
question.
have on your do and do not,
Mhm.
do's and don'ts on the scrap metal are crushed cans or aluminum cans.
Right,
You don't
and
want us to crush them.
right, and it's for the same reason. The machinery can't read a crushed can. A machinery can read a can that's in its original shape, but it won't recognize what a flat can is. And I think flattening cans is a throwover from when we had like single stream recycling, and you could crush your cans if the only thing going into that container was cans, you were saving, space. But now, since with everything going in, it doesn't work that way.
I have another question. Um, so I see some things that say garbage over here, like greasy pizza boxes and shredded paper. Can I put those in yard waste?
Yes, you can. So here's the deal with the pizza boxes. Sometimes they come with a little plastic insert, and those have to go in the trash. If the lid of the pizza box doesn't have any grease on it, doesn't have any food residue, that goes in recycling for cardboard, and that's a valuable commodity. But if it's got food on it, then it can be put into compost, as can shredded paper can go in compost.
Diane, you'll need to unmute.
Yeah, and just a word of warning about the shredded paper. You don't want it to be coated paper because that would have a plastic coating, and we don't want any plastic in compost. Same as like you don't want staples, you don't want anything, it has to be plain copy paper that is shredded, that goes in compost.
Thank you.
Thanks. There's one other thing. If you look under the garbage side of the page, about in the middle, it says frozen food containers. And so there's an ice cream box, and then behind that, I think it's like a lean cuisine or something. And people often confuse the fact, like you can recycle a cereal box, but you cannot recycle a frozen food box. And they may look the same, but the frozen food boxes have a waterproofing chemical in them. And that means that they can't get recycled in the slurry process that happens when you recycle paper.
And I have a note about prescription bottles.
Okay.
Although you can't, I guess you can't recycle them. You can sometimes take them back and get them refilled.
Really?
I noticed when I went to Bainbridge Pharmacy, I took my bottle in and said, I need some more of these pills. And they said, should we just use the same container? I said, yes.
Wow.
Yet another reason to love our local pharmacy.
Exactly.
Did you hear that, Ed?
Did you hear that, Ed? All right. So I'm wondering about other, you know, I know there are a lot of other things that we can recycle that we can't use either the waste bin or the scrap metal for.
Mhm.
Things like certain kinds of styrofoam. And I know that Zero Waste tries to keep us up to date on when we might be able to donate those and where. Can you say a little bit about that?
Well, one of the links I sent to you that I hope you put in the chat is to the Zero Waste web page. And we do have, Diane does a fabulous job of keeping it updated in terms of recycling events. We used to do styrofoam recycling. This was years ago at Bay Hay and Feed, and then it just like got larger than life and was more than Bay Hay and Feed could reasonably manage. So now the county will occasionally schedule a styrofoam recycling event. And there was one, I think, a couple of months ago. The other thing about the Zero Waste webpage is it has a guide where to recycle stuff. So you can just click on it. It's alpha order. You can interact with it if you have questions about where things go. There you go. So there's the A to Z guide, and there's also a link to Kitsap County solid waste, and just all sorts of suggestions about where various things can go.
Cigarette butts, gotta laugh. Okay.
That's pathetic.
Stop
Hmm.
making them. How about that?
Yep. Stop using them. Stop buying them. Yep.
Anyway, so it sounds like the program here that you are doing has been a success. That the idea of dropping by, um, I feel for you because you have to keep up with it. Because boy, people do bring in a lot.
They will bring in a load. There's a woman who volunteers who's thinking about starting a collection bin at her condo complex, and she brought in a whole bin full to the center the other day, and apparently somebody's remodeling all their overhead light fixtures, so I got about 8 of those. But I'm really happy to do it because it's not going to waste, and it's more convenient if you want to take it to the transfer center. Oh, Diane has a question. But I like doing it all at one time so that I can get the weight on it. And today I had the experience where I pulled up on the commercial scale, and the guy looks in the window, the gruff guy who's the first, your greeter there, and kind of eyeballed what I've got in there. And he goes, oh, okay, go around to the aluminum bin first and then get rid of stuff and then come back around. And I had no idea what he was talking about because this has not happened the previous trips. And so the guy from the aluminum bin or the aluminum area looked in the back. He grabbed a couple things. One was brass and one was, whatever. And he weighed those separately, and then he trotted around to the front, and then the guy reweighed my car, and then I dumped the rest of it in scrap metal. So if I parse it better, we may get more money. I just wasn't aware that that was an option. This is a very noisy place with big, heavy equipment, and I'm definitely fish out of water there. It's like, what is that woman doing with her Toyota Prius and bags of cat food cans?
So there are levels of value, huh? Some of the aluminum stuff is worth more.
That's right. So the guy when I pulled over to the aluminum bay, he grabbed something that was brass, that was yellow brass, $2 a pound. The shredded metal, which is how we've done it before, is 8 cents a pound. So I had something for $2 a pound, and then cast aluminum is 45 cents a pound. And I actually had a cast aluminum pot that I saw on the street. I was at my son's. We went out to dinner, and there somebody left a pot on the sidewalk, so I just threw it in the back of the car. So turns out it was worth 45 cents to us.
Look at you. Diane, did you want to get in here?
Well, a question and a comment. So Barbara, what's the like biggest or heaviest kind of metal that you'll accept? Because you mentioned fixtures, like fixtures.
Oh, well, these are like canister lights. I mean, I can't lift anything heavy, and people haven't really brought anything heavy. So I don't know if there's a weight limit, like not more than 5 pounds. Don't bring me
Yeah,
any anvils.
Right, we did, right,
you know?
we did help with some nails. Somebody brought in some nails, but they were on the edge. And if you had something like a canister, could that go, or I mean, that could probably go in the curbside recycling if you do that, right? It's big enough.
They don't accept, they just want food cans. They don't accept hardware cans.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's not just too small, it's also unusual.
Yeah, they really only want the stuff on the flyer.
Okay, I get it. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Reed.
No, I'm trying to channel all of us. It's like what you have called to me wish cycling.
Right.
It's like it's a crime that we should be sold plastic clamshells, since there's not a darn thing to do with them. We can do with them.
Exactly. Diane.
And then my comment is, you mentioned earlier that it costs money to recycle metal at Bainbridge Transfer Station, but there is a place in Paulsville called Yank Apart that the public can just take metal to. So if you have something that's, more than 5 pounds or really big, then if you're driving out that way, you can stop at Yank Apart and drop it off.
Oh, that's good to know. Thanks. And just you're on mute, Reed.
I was just going to put up the Yank Apart website so you could see what we're talking about. Let's see if I can do that. There you go. Yank Apart, auto wrecking and metal recycling.
Oh, on Stottlemyre. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for joining, and thank you all for the things that you're bringing to the center, because the money that I get goes to the center as a donation, and they log it as a hospitality donation since they are hosting the bin.
And it's all friendly. We're very grateful for your hospitality of doing this hard work and getting some more stuff out of the waste stream and back reused, so we can have a corkscrew that works with 2 handles.
That's right.
Thank you.
Oh, you're
Okay.
welcome. Thanks for your questions.